Hey everyone, I'm back with the follow-up video that I posted yesterday. This is the deep space upgrade to the Arcana Nightmare farming strategy. So instead of beacons, because beacons aren't so great in deep space to farm, it's not really worth it. I decided to move over Sandlord into the mix because I have to get my level 8 kitties. Once you get to deep space, you want to get those running if you're doing Sandlord. So it was a good one to sneak in. Previously, I was using Sandlord with Cube, and same concept as I don't really like Cube in deep space. I think it's kind of a waste. I'd rather just Cube in Profound. So we stopped Sandlording with Cube. We stopped beaconing with the Arcana Nightmare, and now we have Sandlord with this. And we had room for the hunting. Hunting with Arcana is really good. It combos in some extra cards. So there you go. We'll dive into how it's all set up. So the Arcana is still set up the same way. You grab the 16 points on the outside here, and then the 6 points on the inside. These 2 points you can customize as you want. For my build, personally, these are the 2 that I need. They're also pretty valuable, so it's good for money making. But, you know, check the auction house. See if there's better, more expensive Kismets you want to farm yourself or for your own personal build. Customize these points as you'd like. For the Nightmare, we have it set up more or less the same way. The 8 points over here, the 8 points going this way, 4 points in to spawn the boss, and we have 4 extra points here. The Sweet Dream Mist is, it's nice. It's not a big deal. That's not why we're doing this. We're doing this specifically for the card. This is a rainbow card. When it shows up, it gives you 75% additional drop quantity in the Nightmare. It's a really big boost, so I like it. But I do have a substitute if you're looking for a more instant guaranteed every map profit strategy, and we'll go over that in a minute. Moving over, we have the hunting, and this is meant to combo with the last part of the Arcana. When you kill the boss at the end, it has a chance to spawn a card. The goal we're looking for here is, as you can see, we're replicating all the guys. We get more bosses at the end. Sometimes you can get, you know, 2 cards to show up. Sometimes you can get 3 cards to show up. Maybe even 4. I haven't seen 4 yet, but maybe you can get 4 cards to show up. Every once in a while, random chests will show up. They're kind of meh. You'll get some extra resonance, a compass. It's nothing impressive, but like when you get those extra Arcana cards, it speeds up the process. So it's pretty good. We have the Sandlord. This is where you got some choices now as well. We'll go into this. If you want all in on the Sandlord, you can grab these 8 points in exchange for these resonance points. So you would not pick these, and you could put the 8 in there. If you really want to go all in on Sandlord, we'll go over that as well. Alternatively, there's another step we'll go into. If you want to move those 4 points out of Nightmare, you would then either remove the 4 points out of the gold or the 4 points out of this one. And you'd have 8 points to play with, and you can slam these 8 points here for when you kill bosses. You get snow paper fragments. You'll get a constant, steady flow of snow paper fragments for yourself to run the canvas if you like. You can sell them. They range, you know, their price ranges, but they're decent income. And if you prefer it, that's an angle you can do. So if you want the snow paper fragments, you remove either these 4 points or these 4 points. And the 4 points from Nightmare that I was talking about here, and you can slam them into the snow paper fragments. And then also on that same, you know, principle, if you don't want this resonance, I like it personally. The price of resonance is really high this season. I recommend this, but if for whatever reason you're okay with buying resonance, then you don't take these points. You can go all in on the Sandlord, put these 8 here, get more Sandlord money faster if you're into that. So yeah, that looks like everything. All right, so we're gonna go over to the Traveler constellation, and what we're leaning on here are the rare cards. So this will make the cards be rarer. This gives a chance, it's not guaranteed, but a chance that you'll get 4 cards instead of 3 cards to pick from, which is good. And the reason we're doing this over, you know, why aren't you doing drop quantity and blah blah blah. Well, 1, it takes more points. We won't be able to fit everything. And to be honest with you, drop quantity doesn't do that much for what we're doing. Nightmare drop quantity does nothing for. Arcana, it does a very, very small amount of things. Maybe you get more notes to drop. Maybe you get the random fate to show up very rarely. So it does something to drop quantity for Arcana, but not enough because it doesn't do anything for when you're in the game board part of it. And that's what's important. So it's not a big deal there. As for the Sandlord, yeah, drop quantity is nice for Sandlord, but like it's such a small, like in my opinion, Sandlord's like the add-on to the main juice of the strategy. So we don't need to, you know, all in the Sandlord. So that's why we don't need the drop quantity there. And as for hunting, well, same thing. It kind of does stuff for hunting, but who cares? Again, hunting's just there to fuel the Arcana. And that's why, in my opinion, the rarer cards are much more important. Rarer cards will get you those secret paths. They'll get you those OP nightmares. They'll get you those really juicy runs you're aiming for. And the rare cards help you do that. So having them show up more consistently is, in my opinion, a good way to approach this form of a strategy. I believe that's everything to go over it. Now, what do you do with the Sandlord gold? Well, you can just save it all and do big shipments to Utopia, Sand Island, Reservoir. Everyone's got their own favorite island, so you can just save all the money for big shipments. Or if you are constantly doing this strategy, like me, I like the strategy in deep space. I'm always running it. You're going to get a surplus of, 4 days of gold, 5 days of gold, so much gold. At that point, once you have that much gold, you should just be sending your gliders out. 1 or 2 all the time should be in the air. Those gliders, it doesn't look like you're getting a lot. When they come back, you're like, oh, I get 5 FE, I get 5 FE. Yeah, you don't get a lot from raw FEs, but those probes that they bring you are surprisingly very valuable, especially the deep space probes. They're pretty big. So if you got the extra gold and you're having fun, keep those gliders in the air, cash out on these probes. It's a steady form of income, or, just stockpile it and once a week, ship it down to one of those big islands. Okay, I believe that's everything. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, that is all the information on the void chart you need. Hopefully that helps you. We're going to show you the compasses. We're going to show you some gameplay. I do warn you, for people who aren't interested in this, this is a longer farming strategy because of all the things you're doing in the map. You're arcanaing, you're nightmaring. If you this strategy isn't optimized for overwhelming. So you have a choice. You can skip the overwhelm and it's fine, and just do an overwhelm strategy if you feel like doing it. It's not a big deal. However, overwhelm's still good even if you're not spec'd into it. And you'll go into an overwhelm. Sometimes you'll just, it'll pay for your compasses that round alone. So it's not the worst thing. So it's up to you if you want to skip it or run it. But again, there's nothing in this current strategy that buffs the overwhelm, so it's not a big deal if you skip it. It's up to you. But yeah, we're going to jump into the gameplay for people who are interested in watching it. It is a longer clear. Sometimes you get pulled into the nightmare. You got to run the nightmare. If you're running the overwhelm, then you run the overwhelm. You can do 4 floors of the overwhelm, 1 floor of nightmare, and then clear the map. That's 6 versions of running the same map. Sometimes you do. Then, while that's happening, the Arcana map could proc, and then you get sucked in to do an Arcana board. So 6 map clears plus an Arcana board. Maybe you're really, really lucky on top of that, and you get 2 Arcana boards in the same map. So you're doing 6 map clears, 2 Arcana boards. You see where I'm going with this? This could take a while. So if you don't mind long map clear times, it's not a move speed thing. It's not a lack of damage thing. It's just you're doing a lot of mechanics that take time to clear. You're waiting for these cards to spawn. You're waiting for the Sandlord guys to spawn. You're getting sucked into the nightmares. You're getting sucked into the Arcanas. It's not your traditional in and out, 1-2 minute map clear strategies that I personally kind of leaned on most of the time, doing those fast strategies. And I know a lot of other people do as well. But this, surprisingly, has been very juicy for me, especially since going to the deep space. I've done maybe about 100 of these so far in deep space with this setup. And I've gotten 3 or 4 undetermined fates. Let me try and remember. I have one in my stash right now. But the point is, it is RNG. I do have the pets for Arcana. But, I wasn't getting this much in Profound with the Profound setup I was using, and it's more or less the same setup. So as I've continuously said, the the 90 item, the monster level 90 zone, deep space, aka for Arcana and Nightmare, are extra juicy compared to the profound versions. And this is one of the few strategies that I like running in deep space, and I think is, you know, it's better in deep space, and it's actually a reason to go to deep space is specifically this strategy. You get the juicy night arcanas, which from as I've seen with the last 100 maps I've run since I started doing this, greatly increases your chances of finding the undetermined fates. The nightmares are just so much juicier. Even bad nightmares are raining hundreds of FE at you, so it's kind of really, really good there as well. You got the Sandlord level 8 cats. You can only get these in deep space. If you're investing time and, you know, resources into Sandlord, then you want those level 8 cats. It's kind of a big deal. So all of these things are actually much better in deep space compared to things like clockworking, because clockworking will give you the same explosion. Doesn't matter. There's no secret deep space clockwork only compasses you get. There's no secret clockwork quest you get at the beginning for being in deep space. The drop quantity, honestly, from my experience, has very little to do with the big explosion at the end. The big explosion at the end is more influenced by what cogs you get. So it's not a big deal. Cube is one of those strategies I feel is like, you get a few more cranks at the wheel because you have more drop quantity. More drop quantity will lead to more, what do you call it? Cranks at the wheel, more crystals, essentially, slot machine coins, however you want to call them. But that doesn't increase your chances of winning at the slot machine in any way. There's no secret deep space prize in there that you can't get unless you're in deep space, like level 8 cats, for instance. Stuff like that. So Cube's kind of like, that's why I said I'm not a big fan of Cube here. Beacon farming in deep space is a complete waste of time, for obvious reasons. I'm sure you can figure that out. What else is there? Carjacking in deep space is nice. Okay, carjacking is also kind of good. You're investing heavily in the drop quantity. There's more drop quantity. It just kind of makes sense. The downside with carjacking in deep space is you got to be really, really strong, because if you're not smashing 50 waves consistently, with it being buffed up, with you using all the compasses that buff it up even more, you're not really maximizing the potential that you're supposed to be doing in deep space. So if you are only carjacking with no compasses and you're only doing 40 or 30 waves, it's probably not worth it to do it in deep space at that point. You might as well go to profound, use the good compasses, smash 50 waves in half the time, and smash constant big explosion loots. But, you know, obviously, if you're at the point, you're geared specifically for carjacking, and you're ready to go, you're Giga Chad status, yeah, you can carjack in deep space. You'll get bigger explosions if you're consistently smashing those 50 waves. Fully juiced is good times. So definitely check those out. All right, everybody, we made it to the end here. I think this is a good enough spot to call it. As you can see, we're doing all these extra Arcana cards that showed up. We got these chests. There is another half of the map here. I am going to clear it, but you don't need to. It's not a big deal. It's not going to influence your loot and strategy, and it doesn't change anything. So for the sake of time, we are going to cut the video here. Hopefully, I'll keep running while I do this. Hopefully this video and strategy will help you in your deep space adventures. Hopefully I got a lot of information. Let me know what you think about my opinions about, you know, various strategies in deep space versus profound. You know, I kind of went into that a bit. Maybe you disagree, maybe you don't. Maybe you do agree. Let me know in the comments below. As always, I am streaming still every day on Twitch. I will put that link in the comments below, so feel free to join me if you have the time. You want to hang out, ask me some questions, or just listen to some music while you're farming. Other than that, we'll put the build code for the void chart in the link, as well as a link to my Discord. And as always, if you haven't, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Do me a favor, once again, hit that like button. It does a big deal. I know it seems like it's such a small thing, but apparently it's a big deal. So definitely hit that like button. And happy hunting. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.